Hi there, and welcome to Colour Fit Chat number 10. This week I'm absolutely thrilled to say our guest is George Morgan, who is Head of Nutrition at Saracens Rugby. George has worked at Saracens since 2012 after completing an internship with the club, and it's a period where he's overseen absolutely tremendous success. He's also consulted in football and in rowing. Now, I know recently Saracens have had a bit of stick regarding their finances, but anyone that has been fortunate enough to see their performance practices will assure you they're some of the best practices you will see in the world. They're not over elaborate or state of the art, it's just good, solid coaching. George gives some incredible advice on the show, especially if you're a starting nutrition practitioner, regarding the nuances of building relationships and being effective in the job. I really hope you enjoy the chat, and remember to leave comments on Twitter if you want to ask questions or add opinion. I hope you enjoy the show.
Good afternoon, my name is George Morgan. I've been asked to take part in this Twitter chat, share some insights from my experience and answer a few questions. So the first one I've been asked to address is recovery strategies in the 24 hours post a rugby match. For me, recovery begins as soon as the game is over. You want to start rehydrating effectively, so getting enough fluid in to replace any lost. Refueling with carbohydrates, so replacing any of that energy used up, those muscle glycogen stores, and then rebuilding any damaged tissue to getting a decent hit of protein in, something like a whey enhanced fruit smoothie, covering all the amino acids and fueling that repair. You may also want to consider having some extra tart cherry extract or omega-3s to deal with any potential soreness that you might be experiencing in the muscles afterwards. Once you've done that, you can move on to a whole foods meal, plenty of carbohydrate, again continuing that refueling, some protein to have some extra building blocks to repair those muscles, and plenty of fruits and vegetables, giving you some extra vitamins and minerals, looking after immunity post-competition. If it was an evening game and you were then heading to bed afterwards once travelling home, you may consider having an extra protein hit, something nice and rich in casein that can help supply those amino acids overnight and continue that repair. The day after the game, rugby is a collision sport, and some recent research has demonstrated that the energy requirements are a little bit higher than first estimated on these recovery days. So it might be wise to ensure that the day after you've played, you're getting plenty of whole foods in, making sure you're not skipping meals or skipping snacks to ensure that you're recovering, ready to go again in the training week and ready for the next fixture. So the next question I've been asked to address is wellness strategies when on the road. So traveling strategies for nutrition. Massive part of many athletes' lives, being on the road, going from game to game or competition to competition. Having some wellness strategies during that can definitely help minimize the risks of picking up infections that can impact training or subsequent competitions. So it's very important things to have in your thinking when planning out a sort of competition period. What I like to think about is, let's start with the basics. Encourage good hygiene practices within the group. So education regarding hand washing regularly, using hand sanitizer before eating. These are all simple basics that seem obvious, but so many could improve, and then therefore minimize a lot of the instances of illness within a group. You can then look into what can we do long term. So are there any deficiencies that can be corrected? Are multivitamins a good idea to top up the diet? Can vitamin D be screened and brought up to an optimal level, not a suboptimal or even a deficient level, especially in winter in countries like the UK? Can we have specific higher vitamin C protocols when traveling to look after the immune system? Can we reduce the incidence of respiratory tract infection through having zinc lozenges available, especially in air-conditioned areas? Then if we look at our food provision when traveling, ensuring there's adequate fluid available, people are able to drink regularly, not become dehydrated or throats get dry. Having enough snacks available so people aren't under fueled or we don't have any energy deficiency. Especially important after the game, you want to encourage not just for the recovery but supporting the immune system, that athletes are not under fueled on the bus home, where the incidences and risks of picking up infections can increase. So having some decent snacks on board or some meals on board, depending on what sport you're in or the budget available, you may be traveling with a chef, or you may be able to source snacks for the bus, or worst comes to the worst, supplying an information sheet that athletes can apply to a service station so they can make good choices and help themselves stay well when traveling. So the next question I've been asked to address is where do I see a nutritionist fits within a sporting organisation? So in my opinion, a nutritionist is a vital member of the multidisciplinary team of service providers to a sporting organisation. So that includes the strength and conditioning department, the medics, the administration team, the food service department, and generally as a nutritionist, you'll have some involvement in all of those. So with S&C, imagine it's pre-season, you'll be heavily focused on supporting body composition changes, whether that's increases in lean mass or reductions in body fat, and programming individualized diets for that. With its medics, they might be sort of highlighting various soft tissue injuries or potential injuries that you'll be helping individuals with strategies to improve, so such as soft tissue health and collagen supplementation, for an example. If you're thinking about the administration staff, when the seasons kick in or competition time kicks in, you may be heavily involved with helping plan travel or hotel stays and menus that are being prepared for those. So communicating with them and understanding what they're having to deal with as well. And then you've got the service staff at a training base or a training camp. So understand that they are, number one, delivering menus that you may have designed or had an input in, setting up dining rooms and environments so they help athletes make better decisions and make decisions that you want them to, that reflect their needs and their performance. So I'm guessing that, where do I see a nutritionist sitting? I think across there's various roles a nutritionist can fill within an organization, and needing to be in communication with all of them is definitely a must for them. It's the last question from me, and it's a good one actually. What advice would I give practitioners starting out in a new sports team, so going into team sport? Well, I think it's important to try and get a good understanding of the environment you're going into, the history of the organisation, as well as the actual intricacies of the sport. Understanding the sport you're going to work in is actually pretty crucial. Give you an insight into the type of characters you might be coming across. Squads are full of variety of different individuals, but certain squads have certain characteristics, certain sports have them. So it's really good to, if you know other people within your network that have worked in similar environments, getting an idea of their experience, so you're not going in completely blind. Once you've arrived, I'd be on a big fact-finding mission. What's gone on beforehand? What strategies have been in place? Was there a practitioner in before you, or was it done by a committee of backroom staff? And nutrition's kind of a new idea that they're exploring. And then start to understand the tools you've got to work with. Is there a chef in place? Is there a budget in place for support? Is there actually sort of nutrition areas such as stations where supplements or wellness pills can be put out? And if not, can you start bringing them in? Like, where can you have some positive impact? It is important, though, that you do approach this with a degree of sensitivity. You want to bring people along with you for the ride, not necessarily just walk in and dictate to everyone what you want all the time. So, I think when you're new to an environment, building those relationships is massively important for long-term success. On an individual level, people will reach out to people that they like and trust, and it doesn't just come because you're receiving a paycheck from a sports club. You've got to build that, whether it's waiting for an opportunity to deliver some advice and make sure you nail that, or just sitting and chatting and starting to learn about the individuals that you're going to be working with and what makes them tick, where you might be able to possibly help, instead of coming in with fully agenda-driven conversations. Understand that, sometimes if you're consulting, your time is quite restricted, and you need to make sure you're delivering bang for the buck. But if you lose those personal skills and you just try and come in and force your way in, sometimes you might meet a degree of resistance that makes your practice more difficult and harder to fit in and get things moving.
So a massive thanks goes out to George for what I thought was a perfect Twitter chat. Post-match nutrition and recovery was covered brilliantly, as it was a couple of weeks back by Ted Munson. Obviously, you want your carbs and proteins got to be paramount, but don't forget about those lovely phytonutrients that are going to reduce inflammation and support immunity. You want lots of fluids. Heavy collision sports are going to need more than baseline calories to support the repair of tissue. What are good nutrition travel strategies? You want lots of grabbable snacks, bars, balls, sushi, trail mix, fruit, and lots of fluid options. What is a nutritionist position? You've got to be the master at integrating with and assisting multiple departments. Facilitate injury recovery with your medical staff, help guide cooking staff, periodise with strength coaches, and you need seamless nutritional support during coach-led field sessions. What advice to new coaches? Identify your biggest wins and your low-hanging fruit, and my main one is just don't get bored of the basics. Educate, educate, educate. And that's it. Please follow my podcast, Colour Fit Chat, and leave a review. And remember, the full episode is available on our YouTube channel. Take care, and I hope to see you next week when we've got another nutritional giant in the form of Scott Robinson. Take care.